Hey, we're getting closer to Titletown, Green Bay, Wisconsin, hosting the NFL Draft. We're going to have some Ole Miss players go that night. That'll be Thursday night, by the way, as Mike Detillier knows. And then we'll go Saturday, second and third round, and then they'll finish it up. No, Friday, second and third round, and then Saturday they'll finish it up. So Thursday night, first round was brilliant. Primetime TV, everybody gets hot and bothered. We went to the draft a couple of years ago out in Las Vegas. It's even crazier than I thought. Absolutely wild. So we welcome in NFL Draft Insider Mike Detillier on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by your next video wall from Sound and Communications. Video walls for your lobbies in hospitals, law firms, technology companies. Video walls to showcase your school, K through 12, your university, your arenas, and so on. Video walls and sports books, all powered by SoundcomAV.com. Mississippi-owned company for over 60 years. Sound and Communications. They'll power your next video wall for your business. Or hell, you may put one in your man room. It's all good. We welcome in Mike D to the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. By the way, Jake Mangum will join us in the third hour. He went 4 for 4 last night with the Tampa Bay Rays. Mangum just texted me back. Jake will join us in the 9 o'clock hour. You can stream the show on the Out of Bounds radio app. Mike D, you've been doing draft evaluations for decades. What's the biggest difference in how teams scout now versus 20, 30 years ago, Mike D?
Or this is year 40 for me, so we can go that far. It's a more, I think, drawn-out draft process. Years ago, very few coaches had any say in who would get selected. Today, that's a different story. Because now the draft being in late April, you have time that there are certain coaches that do have tremendous say, and it gets away from the scouting part of things, of looking at it where the GM has the final say. It's from a big man standpoint, there was always big people in the draft. But there's not as many back then as there is today. Guys that can move. That's the biggest difference I see today. That the athlete today, big man athlete, is you might have had a couple of 3 like that back in the 80s. Today, there are a lot more of them. And the big question mark is, how will they fit? And I think that's always been the big question mark when you select a player, how well they fit your scheme. So I think the whole process is a little different than, say, back in the 80s when I first started doing this, because it's a more elongated system of working this out until late April. And everybody's got a say. And some influences here of workouts, individual workouts, and combine, and all this sort of thing. So it's a little bit different, but it's still very much a hit and miss business. It's an educated guess.
True. And
Bill Walsh told me that years ago. He got into. We presented him with the Pete Rozelle Award here for the Touchdown Club in New Orleans Hall of Fame. And so I get an opportunity to talk to Bill, and he was one of the masters of it. He really was. For a coach, he had a great eye for talent and a great eye for fit. What would fit his particular scheme in San Francisco? And, he went through this long process of what we're looking for and a kind of coded system of, we look at certain elements of their play and all this. And he just bust out laughing. He said, at the end, it's an educated guess.
No doubt.
But that was Bill being Bill. My neighbor, Paul Brown, was a backup quarterback for Paul Brown, Joe Clark.
Okay.
And so Joe would always tell me that was sort of Paul's comment. Coach Brown always sort of felt the draft process was a little bit of an educated guess. So when Coach Walsh told me this, it reminded me of what Joe had told me. And when I told him about it, he said, yeah, Bill coached for Paul. He probably just repeating him. He said, because that's what I told you. I'm just repeating Paul. So, yeah, it really is. It's a guess. You don't know what today a big difference is, what fame and fortune does to a young athlete, even an older athlete, because automatically you go from maybe having zero all of a sudden becoming rich, and I mean overnight. And you do also have social media as a collegiate player, but man, rich and famous can affect your focus, and bed becomes real comfortable in the morning, where maybe you would want to go work out. Man, I'm going to stay in here for a while.
Right.
So there's so many different elements, and I think that's the one thing I hear more from scouts and GMs. They try to get the player to talk about his love of the game, because, I think the great players, no matter what they got paid, they were going to give it to you. With some guys, once they get that first big check or second big check, it's over. That drive, the talent's still there. The drive, that's the big question mark.
That's why a different sport, but I mean, that's what separated Michael Jordan. I mean, the dude was just, regardless of fame and fortune and rings, he was still driven to cut your heart out every night in the NBA. It's just remarkable.
And we saw it in the NFL. Look all the money Tom Brady made.
Oh,
Peyton
gosh.
Manning made.
Great point.
Drew Brees made. I mean, it didn't matter to them what they were making. It mattered to their accountant and that sort of thing. But I think for them, it was all about really the love of the game. And I think you try to find that in a player. I hate to say it, but I think it's true today. There is a lot of profiling that goes on in any sport they have. I don't care if it's NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, you name it. There's a certain profile of a player that you want him to answer a question or act a certain way. And you can get fooled with that real quickly, because if you're a 50 or a 60-year-old man and you're talking to a 21-year-old young man, okay, they grew up differently. How they react to things are differently. And I'll never forget, Mike Ditka was with the Saints, and they were going to take a running back, okay, that year. And he interviewed. He got to sit down with Ricky Williams and Edgerrin James that year. And he told me the story. Ricky's interview was unbelievable. He said, he answered every question, looked you in the eye. You could see he was a tough guy. And certainly what he did at Texas, that was some big numbers there that you were looking at. And he carried that Longhorn team. And then he interviewed Edgerrin James. Okay, and he said, he just didn't come off well with me. He said, man, he shook my hand. It was sort of a half-hearted handshake. He really didn't look me in the eye. A lot of times he was looking down. And he said, I don't know about that guy if he can play. Well, the first time they played a preseason game, the rookie year for both, Edgerrin James went off in the first quarter of a preseason game. Well, Mike was so livid about that because he knew that, man, did he misevaluate that with James big time. And it dawned on me then that Mike wasn't going to be that second time around was going to be a lot different because the world had sort of changed on him overnight. And he didn't get it that athlete was maybe going to react differently. And Ricky became the bit of the flake, and James was the model guy.
No doubt.
For the Colts. So, man, you think sometimes you know it, and then you get fooled.
Wow.
You get fooled big time.
Man, that's a great story. Mike Ditka sold on Ricky Williams, did not like the Edger and James interview, and the rest is history. Peyton and James were hell for years with the Colts. I don't know how long they were together, Mike, but it was several. Mike D on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. In your opinion, who is the most, and I know this isn't a good QB class, but who's the most underrated quarterback prospect in the draft this year, Mike D?
I don't know if I could put underrated on a Cam Ward or Shadir Sanders or even Jackson Dart, to be honest with you. I mean, everything sort of has been broken down with those guys to the point where, it's nothing shocking, when because you've seen them play so much. I think one guy who's got a shot is Kyle McCord from Syracuse, who started out at Ohio State. And I watched him this year. Now, he threw a ton of passes for Syracuse. Their running game ain't nothing to write home to mom about, so to speak. And so they used that little short pass almost like an extended handoff. He went to the East-West Shrine game, and I thought he really, really did himself good there. He's smart. He's accurate. He sees the field very well. His read process on defenses are exceptional. How well he'll handle pressure at the NFL level. When I'm talking about pressure, I'm talking about pass rush, I think is the big question with him. He's okay as an athlete. He's not a movement guy by any stretch. He's a pocket guy. But I really like what I see from Kyle McCord from Syracuse.
I agree.
Think, of all the guys, he may be the most underrated because I'm not sure, and I think it's more personality conflict or maybe just they didn't jive of what happened to him at Ohio State with Ryan Day. That was definitely something there behind the scenes between the two guys. And why would you leave Ohio State to go to Syracuse?
Right.
And knowing what you left, how good that team was. Because when all those defensive players decided they were going to stay another year, and then you already had Henderson, and then you get, Judkins from Ole Miss, man, that would have been a hard one for me to leave, but I get it. I think there was a personality conflict between him and Ryan, and he just decided to go to Syracuse. I thought he did himself really well this year. I was impressed watching him play. And then when I go back and watch the film on him, I was even more impressed with his processing of finding secondary and third receivers downfield. I think he did it very, very well this year. Extremely well.
He had a hell of a year, for sure. Let's switch gears to the LSU Tigers. And you and I have discussed that Brian Kelly isn't going anywhere, but with his fat contract, but that, LSU Tiger fans are ready to win big. Do you believe that LSU has put themselves in position? It'll be Nussmeier's second year. I'm expecting a pretty big jump from him. I thought he played well, and it was only his first year, which people forget. You know that. Do you feel like LSU has put together a roster that is capable of being in the hunt for a college football playoff berth in November, Mike D?
I think they've put together a roster that can be a hunt team. Would I put them at the top of the rung of the ladder? No. But I think they've pieced together, and they have the most important piece, and that's at the quarterback position. with Garrett Nussmeier. So I like that. They do have a very good running back in Caden Durham. We got to see him last year as a true freshman. He was very impressive to me. Their receiving core, I think, is better this year than it was a year ago. They do lose Mason Taylor, but Bauer Sharp, who he started out in southeastern Louisiana. He was a quarterback. I watched him play as a freshman, and I told some of the assistant coaches at Southeastern, "You're not gonna have him long. He ain't staying here." He goes to Oklahoma. He leads the Sooners in receptions, and now he's on the Tiger team as a tight end, along with Tre'Davious Green, the 6'7" tight end. The question mark on offense is how quickly they can get this offensive line to gel. They lose 4 starters along the offensive line. That's a lot. Now, they have brought in a couple guys that have started elsewhere, in Braylon Moore, Josh Thompson. Josh has started at right guard at Northwestern. Braylon Moore started at center for Virginia Tech. So you've got some pieces there. Defensive line, this is probably, from a talent standpoint, the best Kelly's had at LSU. So I think that's a plus. Linebacker, I think they'll be fine there. The Weeks brothers, along with Harold Perkins, you got something there. The cornerback safety group is the one to watch, because that's where, throughout the years, LSU, especially under Coach Miles, it started really under Coach Saban, and you went through that time frame of DBU at LSU with Coach Saban, Coach Miles, and the early years of Coach Orgeron. And then all of a sudden, the talent level in the state changed, in that a lot of those guys that were playing defensive back now started playing receiver. That's what 7-on-7 does. And so they have not been a good secondary team for the last 3 or 4 years. Haven't. I think that's the key for them, because the way the world has changed, and that you throw the football so much, that you've got to have really good play at cornerback and safety. That, for me, is the biggest question mark for LSU if they're going to make a national championship run, is how well they play in the secondary. Because I think they'll be better in the front seven. I can't tell you about at cornerback and safety. They've recruited pretty well there the last couple of years. It's now the development. Corey Raymond's got to be able to develop those young guys that they've brought in. I think that's the key, Bo, to be honest with you. That one area, I think, is the key for them to make I think they'll be there in that 12-man hunt, but to make a real run at a national championship, your secondary better be damn good.
Mm. For our listeners, LSU goes to Ole Miss September 27th. So
man, what happened to this Halloween stuff?
I know,
man. Because you on the calendar when they played Ole Miss, since I was a kid, you sort of knew it. Now that part has changed just because of the way the scheduling is. I was talking to Archie about this, and he was like, "Did they forget about late October?" I was like, "I don't think they forgot about it. It's just the way it is." And yeah, that's a big test. But I think really the big test is game 1, Clemson.
Yeah, at Clemson,
because of who you got to play at quarterback. It's a big test for your pass rush and your secondary. That cat playing quarterback for Clemson is pretty damn good, I can tell you that.
He is.
Man, can he whip that ball? It comes out sort of funky at times. It really does. But it gets there, and it gets there fast. And LSU under Brian Kelly has struggled tremendously in game 1. Really has struggled with him. And somewhere along the line, you got to get that anvil off your back. You got to put a W up to start the season.
Man, That's a tough one. I kind of like
And in Clemson, it ain't no, this little road trip, so to speak, where it's a neutral field. You in Clemson.
Yeah, I don't like that scheduling. I like the look. It's great for you and I and college football fans that we get that kind of game and those games. But like Ole Miss starts with Georgia State to just kind of figure out what the hell's going on, and LSU has just jumped in it in Las Vegas last year. I guess Southern Cal, I guess it was, or somebody, and the year before.
Yeah, and they played back-to-back games against Florida State.
That's right. Not ideal. Not ideal. I'd like to go with the warm up. I see Southeastern Louisiana here September 20th. I'd rather have that game August 30th and kind of get your feet wet. But here we go. But look, LSU at Ole Miss September 27th, Vaught Hemingway. You remember last year's game. Somehow LSU pulled that thing off, which was insanity. And now they'll go at it again in Oxford. Mike D, have a great week, my man. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks so much, Bo. Appreciate it. Just think the last two LSU Ole Miss games. 2 years ago, that was a shootout that if you had the over, you covered midway into the third quarter. and then last year, LSU didn't have the lead into the final play.
Yeah. I mean, goodness.
That's great. That's a crazy back-to-back games against Ole Miss. I mean, it really was.
Back shoulder throw right there at the pylon in overtime. I think that's right. On the right side. Unbelievable.
Kyron Lacey comes up with the catch. And basically, that from what Garrett told me, they kind of drew that up in the dirt.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That basically, Lacey said, throw it to me. I can beat the guy. Lacey basically, but Lacey tells that, he would tell that to anybody. But I think on this play, I think he knew he had sort of set him up, and he was going to get some separation. He was wide open, to be honest with you. And, man, Nussmeier makes a dart throw on that. Yeah,
he did. Mike Detillier on the Out of Bounds Show. We'll talk to you next week, Mike D.
Thank you, Bo.
WWL Radio TV New Orleans. He joined us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Do you need a new video wall for your K through 12 school, community college, maybe your business school, engineering school, your bar, restaurant, law firm? SoundcomAV.com. Sound and Communications. Call them for your next video wall for your business or home.
Say, kids, what time is it?
It's 9 a.m., and this ain't no kiddie show. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds.
On aboard!
As Mississippi's #1 morning show rolls on the Zone 105.9 and online at thezone1059.com.
Hey, show flies by when you start a little bit later. Good morning, welcome in. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're happy to be your sports and entertainment show of choice in the great state of Mississippi, and thank you for listening outside of the state.
By the way, I'm a fan.
I'm a fan of all of you. We appreciate our listeners. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. 105.9 The Zone ESPN lunch today brought to you by the amazing Euros and Pitamaz at Aplos in the Renaissance and Aplos in Highland Village. We'll have Jake Mangum on the show in 30 minutes. So he'll join us live from Tampa. Tampa Bay Ray. Jake Mangum, 4 for 4 last night, double, couple of stolen bases, 2 ribbies, scored a run. Was just amazing for the Tampa Bay Rays and making the most of getting called up early, and we'll see where this goes. I hope to catch him. Jackson knows I was already looking at flights. I hope to catch him. I think my thought process is he's staying.
Same.
But I'm still going to try to get there in the next, week or so. I can't make it this week. We're going to do a little bit of Hogs for the Cause down in New Orleans. We're going to Pearl River Resort tonight. We'll be at Philip M's with Steve Azar. Tonight they're playing golf. Tomorrow I'll do a show from the Dancing Rabbit Golf Club tomorrow. Come back here, do a show Wednesday. Then we'll go to New Orleans and we'll rip off a bunch of interviews, which will be awesome with all kinds of cool pit masters and chefs and stuff down at Hogs for the Cause down in New Orleans, which supports pediatric brain cancer and has raised $1 gazillion. This thing is huge. So looking forward to that. I'm told I'm eating at Doris Metropolitan Thursday night, but I'm letting them make the plans. If that's the case, that's for the win. Haven't been to Doris in a minute, but absolutely love it.
I don't know who she is.
She's awesome.
Gotta be.
How about that? She's awesome. I think it's on Robert St. John's top 3 steakhouses in New Orleans on robertstjohn.com. Pretty sure.
I mean, so are we talking, is it San Antonio quality or?
Stop it.
I love that.
I look, there's no question in my mind that San Antonio has a couple of great steakhouses.
It has to.
Okay. But, anyway.
I can sell you mountainfront property right behind my home here on the bayou.
Is that the same thing as San Antonio? I don't know.
I can sell you mountainfront property right behind my home here on the bayou.
There's so much money there.
Oh,
there's so
there's an crazy amount of money, and out those suburbs that have popped up outside of San Antonio. Good Lord, we used to have a listener, Mississippi State guy, gone out there, and like many of them since 1960, with the petroleum engineering degree and chemical engineering degrees, had gone out there and made a running ton of dough, and he would text us. He lived right outside of San Antonio in some swanky neighborhood, and of course, the Shackles Honors College at Mississippi State is named after Bobby Shackles, who went out to Houston and got in oil and energy and gas. So there's like, man, that Houston, Texas mafia of Mississippi State alums, I mean that as a compliment,
right? Yeah.
Is insane. And those guys in the late 70s that played for Ron Polk, there's a crew of them that have gone on. There's several of them that have gone on to make several $100 million apiece. And they don't play around. They played kind of in that Buck Showalter. They went to the CWS in 79. I don't know if they were already gone, but Polk went to the CWS in 79, 81, and 85. Mississippi State had an appearance with someone else prior to Polk. Oh, and I think that was in the 70s too. And Ron had an appearance at maybe Georgia Southern. Because I think he and Bertman were down there with Frazier with the Miami Hurricanes before going on and becoming head coaches, if I have all that right. John Grisham was a part of that group in the late 70s that never missed a home game. That's why he's written the tribute to Dudy Noble Field, Left Field Lounge. But that group went out to Houston, Texas, and did extraordinarily well, which makes them, I guess, about 66 years old, and they have some serious moolah. And they're a little mafia crew. They paid for the weight room, I think, at the baseball field, and have done some other things. But watch out. We'll see what else they decide to do.
You got to have that. You got to have that group.
It's going to be interesting if the administration does move off of Lamonis, if they make a run at Nick Mingione. And Nick Mingione was an assistant under John Cohen, and he's at Kentucky, and the buyout's pretty steep. Now, that Houston, Texas crew could do it in their sleep because collectively they're worth way, way, way over $1 billion, and that's just one of those groups out there. But Don and that crew, good Lord. And so the question is, if you want to if you can convince Mingione to come home, and he knows all about it, and he coached under Cohen, and he recruited Jake Mangum, and he was part of the 2013 staff that played for the National Championship Series. I think the question would be, does this athletic administration have now they should have started this the day they got on campus, because of where the baseball program was. If they're starting today, shame on them, which if I had to guess, they are. And they should have been raising money towards this thing a long time ago. It wouldn't be hard to go get, $10 million from this group. Okay. Again, it's chump change. They find it in their jets. But you go get, to go buy out Mingione and make a statement, or you go, if this happens, look, I hope Lamonis rips off 8 of 10. He's a friend. I hate, I had to call it like I see it. But 36 and or whatever I was referencing yesterday, 36 and 62, or 66 is not acceptable since 2022. And it just can't. Here it is. 2022 through the weekend against LSU just a couple of days ago, 36 and 62. That's just not Mississippi State baseball. Now, I believe if you're going to go find a coach, you better go find a coach. And this, y'all need to listen where I'm going here, please. You need to find someone that's like John Cohen as a baseball coach. I know a lot of you don't like him as an AD. That's not what I'm talking about. But the enormity of the job did not faze Cohen. And it is a big job where everybody knows what you're doing, where if you're out to dinner, they know what you're ordering, they know what you're drinking, they know what your wife's doing, and you have to be okay with that. I don't know that Lamonis was ever super comfortable with that. And again, I'm a big fan of Chris Lamonis. He's a good baseball coach, but I'm a big fan of him as a human being. But if you want to go get the closest thing to John Cohen, then you make some calls, and you go to Lexington, Kentucky, and you buy out Nick Mingione. It's a big number for college baseball, but it can be done in a heartbeat with the alums that you have and the commitment quotient. Jake Mangum, 9:30. He went 4 for 4 last night for the Tampa Bay Rays. Jake Mangum at 9:30 on the show. Hey. Bo Bounds, Jackson Meadows. What are you wearing? A Washington Nationals t-shirt?
Opening week, man.
Wait, I didn't even notice that the first couple hours I've been in here. I've been trying to focus on something else. I don't know. But
he couldn't catch a cold if he was naked in Russia in the wintertime.
Well, there you go. You're wearing a Washington Nationals t-shirt. This is awesome. We are the Out of Bounds Show.
It's part of spring.
ESPN 105.9 The Zone. And then you're wearing an Izod, windbreaker.
Oh, yeah, a little Lacoste windbreaker.
Oh, Lacoste.
Yeah. I don't know where I found this.
When I see that logo,
oh, yeah.
I think of Izod shirts in the 80s.
Right.
Yeah. We thought they were awesome.
Could have sworn.
We thought wrong. We thought a lot of things in the 80s. That was a bad fashion decade.
Is that when Ralph Lauren polos came to
a
boom?
Yeah, what a visionary as far as fashion. Ralph, brilliant person. But yeah, the polo thing, the Izod,
all cotton, right?
Yeah, they just the cuts weren't awesome. They were heavy. The army green colors weren't awesome. I could go on and on. It was a tough time.
So what?
80 to 90 was tough. I mean, I guess we started to bust out. Some people went the grunge way in the early 90s. Yeah. Some people went, stayed the preppy frat way. Then there was kind of a blend through Widespread and the Black Crowes, Stone Temple Pilots, Lenny Kravitz, Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's what all we were listening to in high school.
Right.
So that blend kind of happened. There's a lot of overlap, lots of T-shirts and jeans, though, too. But not the cooler jeans and T-shirts that you have today, of a more fitted, cooler look, polished, refined look, where you see guys that own their own companies around here, they're past the point of having to dress up, but they wear cool. They'll throw on a cool T-shirt, cool jeans, and that type deal.
So what were the brand, whenever I was growing up, you had your American Eagle, your Abercrombie and Fitch.
I remember those.
Okay. So
I lived something out prior to that.
Yeah. What was the
Izod, Polo. I don't remember God, people were wearing parachute pants. That wasn't really that was through Michael Jackson. I don't think it was necessarily a mainstream brand, but you had to get a pair in 84.
I think everyone had at least one, right?
Yeah. You had the acid wash jeans. That could go either way. Obviously, many females could pull it off. Hair metal, hair bands pulled it off somewhat. Stan Smith Adidas. I miss that. So, now I have some and I love them because they came back in, but I miss I didn't quite get the Adidas thing. I remember the Converse Cons from Magic and Bird before the Jordan shoe dropped.
Right.
So that was the thing. Yeah. Was the Converse Cons with Magic and Larry.
How do you lose a grip on that?
And then Adidas and Converse both lost.
Yeah.
And they made Nike.
That's right.
Yeah, all right. So we are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN. Y'all want me to get back into this? I was kind of framing up the Mississippi State baseball job. It takes someone like John Cohen as a baseball coach. And you know what's interesting, and Ole Miss has this too, okay? LSU, Alabama, some guys don't get along with others. The Ron Polk crew never embraced John Cohen. And I guess it's because he replaced Polk. It wasn't John's fault that the program was where it was at that time. John was in a major rebuild. He didn't get that credit from that group. And John played for Polk, started for him, and was on a College World Series team. But John is a unique personality. I get along with Cohen, and we had a good relationship. But if you think I'm an acquired taste, John Cohen is an acquired taste. Okay? But John knew that the program had not, he was not going to say this because he loves Ron Polk, but he knew that the program had not been meeting expectations, not just during Ron's second run, but for a long time. He would never say that on record, but I know it. And John rebuilt it. And if you remember his post-game press conference, and I think it may be either the best or one of the best in the history of Mississippi State sports, regardless of sport, they were devastated that they lost to UCLA in the national championship series. And if you remember, John did not back away and said, we will be back. I'm paraphrasing. We will be back and we will get this thing and we will win it. And you could tell the grit and the FU and the drive. And I wish, that's what Mullen had. That's why they were there at the same time and totally saved your athletic department and modernized both sports. But because there were so many similarities between the two, they didn't G-haul, but they both won big at the same time and pumped in all these NFL and MLB players that has never happened at any other time or any other university at the state. But the reason why I talk about Nick Mingione at Kentucky is because Nick, under the enormity of the Mississippi State baseball job, would not faze Nick Mingione one bit. Not at all. He knows what it is. He's been there. I mean, he was the lead recruiter on Jake Mangum. And that's with Jake committing to Alabama. I mean, it was a little bit of a rot. They were trying to figure the thing out. And eventually Jake would come back, go to Mississippi State. The rest is history. We're about to have him on the show. But it's not just that. I mean, he understood how John did it. None of the pressure and the outside forces fazed John. I have been with him on the baseball field. I've never, ever been around someone with such tunnel vision. He didn't care. And he knew he was going to be recognized. He knew that some people didn't like him. He knew da-da-da-da-da. His whole thing was, I have to drive this baseball program to the top. It had probably never been to the top. It had danced around the top, but it had never been to the top. And that's what he did. And I will give John this credit. One, as a baseball coach, he did a hell of a job. I know a lot of you don't like him as an AD. That's fine. I will give you one thing. He got the hire of Cannizzaro right. It's just Cannizzaro screwed it up. His first hire was probably more right than his second hire. However, I give Chris Lemonis a lot of credit for not screwing up, inheriting a talented roster and not getting in their way and letting those guys perform in 2019 and playing all the way to the second weekend of the College World Series. And then in 2021, winning it all. Understanding how to manage Mangum, Foscue, Westberg, Tanner Allen, Rowdy Jordan, Ethan Flatt, and Will Bednar more, and Landon Sims. Say what you want about the last couple of years, but just wanted to. You're going to have get somebody who's tough as all get out, who does not give a damn about what the fan base is chattering about, and that's why John Cohen was perfect for your job, and I think Cannizzaro was too. Nick Mingione would be the guy. The question is, do you have enough stuff on campus to go raise? I could do it, but I don't have time. And you'd have to compensate me. But I could go get $10 million to go buy him out and bring him in. It wouldn't be hard, but you got to go do some work. Jake Mangum coming up next, 4 for 4 for the Tampa Bay Rays. He'll join us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. Jake Mangum coming up next. You can watch on YouTube, search Out of Bounds Sports. This SEC Insider Hit has to be brought to you by Mississippi's college town, Starkville, Mississippi. And two brothers, an older brother, and Commodore Bob's, and Big E's, and the Left Field Lounge, and everything about Starkville and Mississippi State, because we welcome in the Hit King and the mayor, Jake Mangum. Tampa Bay Ray, 4 for 4 last night. A couple of ribbies, 2 stolen bases, doubles, scored a run. Just an unbelievable, magical night as he got called up a few days ago to the Tampa Bay Rays. And Jake Mangum joins us on 105.9 The Zone ESPN, the Out of Bounds Show, and the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Good morning, Rockstar. How are you?
Good, man. Just getting ready to go back into the yard at some point in the next couple hours and do it again tonight.
Have the last 3 or 4 days been surreal for you?
Yeah, man. First 3 days in the big leagues, First day you're in the dugout, not playing, just soaking everything up, enjoying it. Day 2, you got your first start, and then day 3 to have a night like that, it's been crazy, man.
I bet. Okay, so you went early because you and I were talking. You went in January down there. You had made the 40-man roster. Then they send you to Durham, where you had an unbelievable season last year. And so talk about the emotions just in the last few weeks. You get sent to Durham, then all of a sudden you get an early call I want to get into how you got down there in a minute, but what were the emotions like to go back to Durham and then get the call?
Oh, really good, man. Like I was, I felt like this is the best year I've ever had in regards to just controlling what I can control. They told me to go to Durham. I thanked them for a great spring training. Just said, I think I can help you guys win baseball games. Wish y'all nothing but the best. Hopefully I can get a shot sooner rather than later. Shook their hands and, went to Durham with a good attitude, ready to roll. Attitude was great, man. I was, really excited for that opening night in Norfolk, but even more excited whenever Morgan Ensberg, my manager, gave me the call up. And, and since then, it's just been a whirlwind.
Okay. So did you feel like, hey, I'm going to get a shot? Not in the first week, but did you feel like, hey, I believe I'm going to get a shot to get called up at some point to the big league team this season?
I want to say yes because I'm always optimistic about it, but you can't really say that because I've had a couple people tell me it literally takes unfortunately an injury, kind of the way the game's set up right now, you just never know, man. There's a lot of really good baseball players that never get their name called to go to the big leagues. Just a lot of, gratitude, really thankful, and just still can't believe it, man. But, it was God's good, man. Gave me a shot, and, hopefully I can make a run at this.
Yeah, 4 for 4 last night. Jake Mangum, Tampa Bay Ray, joining us on the Out of Bounds Show. Obviously, Hell State star and alum and so on. People have been fired up all morning. We've been talking about it, and Jake kind enough to join us live from Tampa as he's coming off a 4 for 4 performance last night, and Twitter was insane. All right, take me to Norfolk, Virginia, and walk me through, you just kind of mentioned it, how you found out, and then the Uber ride and everything that it took to get down to Tampa.
Our manager, Morgan, gathered the team up, started talking about the year that's upcoming. We were about an hour before first pitch. And then at the end, he just said, Jake, we got a guy that his verbiage was, we got a guy that's kept on fighting. Jake Mangum, you're going to the big leagues. Blacked out a little bit after that, called my dad, called my grandfather. My mom was on the phone with my dad. But it happened quick, man. So then Norfolk's about 3 hours from Durham, and I packed a very small bag for our 3-game series against Norfolk. We were going right back to Durham afterwards. So that Friday when I got called up, I was like, Mo, my manager, Morgan. I was like, Morgan, I got to go back to Durham right now. Like I got to go pack a big league bag. You know what I mean? And he was like, yeah, I get it. So I got an Uber, hit the road, and, woke up at 4 a.m., got on a flight, was in Tampa by 9, went to the field at 10:30, started my day.
What was the Uber driver's name?
Amy.
So you drove 3 hours in an Uber, and when you do that with someone in the car, you get, you just visit and tell stories. Did she think it was weird when you put in, I have to go from Norfolk to Durham, North Carolina?
Nah, she just asked me, like, whenever I told her I was going to the Durham Bulls Athletic Park, she understood. And then, and then I told her, I was like, I'm going to the big leagues. Like, I'm not saying speed, but like, I need you to go fast. And she was an angel, dude. She was praying for me in the Uber, and just a lot of cool stuff, man. She was awesome, man. Really good conversations, uplifting conversation, positive, and just that was a big blessing right there. Amy was a huge blessing that night. And then my clubhouse manager took me to the airport at 4:30 in the morning. Stacks took me. He was like, "Man, I'll take you." So I woke up in my apartment, got like 2 hours of sleep, and then Stacks, our clubhouse manager. Our clubhouse manager in Durham took me to the airport.
I love that name, Stacks. His manager at Durham is Mo, and the clubhouse manager is Stacks. This is so Major League, minor league baseball. It's awesome. I love being able to say this. Big leaguer Jake Mangum on the Out of Bounds show, Tampa Bay Rays, 4 for 4 last night, and rolling with the big league team. They played the Pittsburgh Pirates. Cool thing about this is Jake has told this story on the show several times over the last 7 years we've had him on. When he was growing up, Adam Frazier was one of his dudes. And when Mangum takes the bag last night at second, I guess both of them, Frazier is on the Pirates team, who was one hell of a player and on the 2013 National Championship Series team. Mangum joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Okay, so you do the 3-hour Uber, and then you sleep for 2 hours. Stacks takes you to the airport. What time do you get to Tampa?
Flew in at like 9:30. I got there at 9:30, I think. Maybe 9. But then just went to the hotel, dropped my bags off, and then went to the field.
And so describe what it was like when you walked into the locker room and saw your jersey for the first time.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. Like the big leagues, it's just walking around, just guys that have done it for a long time up here are just telling you it's the big leagues, homie. Like it's really cool, man. Like this is awesome. Like I can't tell you how awesome the big leagues are. Like it's crazy, man. But I'm having a freaking blast, and I'm just happy to help the team win. Because last night was a lot of fun, man. Winning that first series against the Rockies and experiencing a Game 1 win last night, and then being able to go win a series tonight, like that's exciting, man. That's just it's awesome. And I hope there's a lot more Rays fan in Mississippi.
Yeah, I got to get a jersey. It's game on. I'm getting online today. And
that's what I'm talking about. And there's a more Cowbell Tampa Bay Rays shirt y'all need to go check out. It's awesome. Yeah, it's in the gift store. My mom got it for me. It was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, they do a more cowbell thing throughout the game. There's cowbells ringing in the stadium.
What?
It's awesome. Yeah, dude, it's really cool.
Okay, really cool. That's freaking awesome. Jake Mangum on the Out of Bounds show. Are your parents?
Everybody
John
back home in Mississippi, we need more. Like, hey, we need you.
Yeah.
We need some more Tampa Bay Rays fans back in Mississippi. Y'all support.
Hey, and that uniform that you were wearing last night, that's one of my favorites. That is so clean and good looking.
Oh, it's so good, man. That the Tampa Bay hat, the TB hat with the white Rays, it looks so good, man. It's a really clean uniform, though. That's my favorite. My favorite's the white, just it says Rays.
Yes.
I think it's a great looking uni.
I do too. Are John and Stacy still down there? Were they there last night?
Oh yeah, they're still here. I'm gonna go grab breakfast with them here in a second whenever we get off the phone. But
yeah,
man, a lot of people made the trip down here to Tampa over the last 4 days. So really thankful for that. It's been so much fun to experience this with them, and man, I'm fired up, man.
You should be deserving. You stayed in the saddle, continued to work, and you've made it. This is incredible. All right, one of your friends, Gardner Minshew, and this is on live radio, so we got to keep it within. We'll do a podcast later, and you can say whatever. But what did he, when y'all got on the phone or saw each other or whatever? What did Minshew say?
He was just fired up for me, man. Just telling me long time coming. Knew you'd get your shot. Proud of the work you put in. Just, man, all that type of stuff. He was fired up though, man. And it's just crazy, man. This is how all this stuff has gone down in my life, and it's crazy, man. Really am thankful for this, and just hope I can make the most of this opportunity.
What is the food? I mean, they talk about Major League Baseball, the food's so much better, all that. Are you experiencing that?
Man, yes. It's indescribable, man. The big leagues is freaking awesome. It's so much fun. There's so many people there just to help you with whatever you need. The food's unbelievable. And I know we're playing at our stadium's kind of messed up right now in St. Pete, but we're playing the Yankees spring training site, and dude, the facilities underneath the stadium, it is insane.
Are they?
It's like a baseball resort and spa underneath the stands. It's insane. It's insane. But so nice. The food's fantastic. The work's great. Just love everything about it, man. I genuinely wouldn't change one thing about it right now.
I'm so happy for you. That's awesome. All right. Well, look, yeah, tell your parents I said hello. I will. Proud of you and happy for you. Everybody's rooting for you. And golly, last night was just insane. Oh, real quick. Did you know you were going to steal right when you got to first base? And did you get to make that call? Like when y'all get to that level, do you get to make that call, or do you get that from the dugout or third base? How did that roll on your stolen bases?
Me and Michael Johns work on that a lot. My first base coach, he played at Tulane. He's a Tulane guy. We work on it a lot, and we're not always going to run like madmen, but we're going to run at times that we think it's necessary to run, and times it's going to help the ball club win.
Okay, cool. We're
working on it.
That was awesome. All right, dude. I'm proud of you. We'll stay in touch. I'm hoping to get down there and keep going, my man. Okay.
Got it. We'll do. Having a blast.
The hit
Raise
king.
up, baby. Raise up.
Raise up. It's time to get some Raise merch and gear. And those uniforms that Jake and them were wearing last night were awesome. Thanks, Jake Mangum. Be good, buddy.
Y'all have a great day. God bless.
All right, 4 for 4. 4 for 4 last night with the Tampa Bay Rays. Golly, I almost got emotional. I almost got emotional in that interview. I mean, that's only happened a couple of times in 21 years. But I think the world of him.
Yeah.
He's become a friend. I mean, hell, we just went to Two Brothers a couple months ago and whenever before he left and just hung out and smashed tacos and wings and caught up.
You spend 2 hours with him, and it's pretty easy to say that kid is so deserving of this. And I don't know that I really say that about many people. He is very deserving of this. Good guy. He's just good.
He has a better I mean, he got sent down.
Look, he's almost 30. Let's
because
play the numbers here.
He stayed the whole time in college.
Right.
Which I'm
sure.
Like Mississippi State people are extremely grateful.
Right.
And he became the SEC hit king, which I know is cool for him, too.
Absolutely.
But he managed the baseball program through multiple changes, and they still were going to the College World Series. It's because of him.
Yeah, there was only one consistent factor.
Right. When he got up there, his last press conference, when they lost, which was brutal, and he said, there's 3 guys from my recruiting class still here.
Right.
I think is what he said.
Wow.
Yeah. And so you understand the level of drive that he had, that he brought to the dugout into the program. And so now he's with the Tampa Bay Rays, and he made the 40-man roster, which is awesome. He's been down there. He's been in the major league facility, so he's been able to live all that. But then he got sent to Durham, and he had a good attitude about it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they're in Norfolk, Virginia, getting everything kicked off, and his manager Mo's like, and Jake Mangum, you're going to the show.
Whoops. Love that.
How about that?
I mean,
and then he takes a 3-hour Uber back to Durham.
God, that Uber ride.
Somehow he's able to go, lay down for 2 hours. And then a dude named Stacks, which is awesome.
Love that.
That's a clubby in minor league baseball. Stacks takes him to the airport, and he flies down to Tampa. And then makes the most of it in his first few games.
I'd say.
He walked in his second game to get on base. Of course, his first hit almost went out. But it almost double to the wall out. The guy had to make a good play. College-wise, a great play. I guess MLB-wise, a good play. Because those guys are so freaky. And then Mangum was 4 for 4 last night with a double and 2 stolen bases, 2 ribbies, scored a run. First hit was through the 6th hole. Had runners on second, third, hit them in, then ripped a double down the right. And yeah. So incredible.
I mean, in every sense of the word, yes.
Yeah. That interview was brought to you by Mississippi's College Town. By the way, we will be a part of the Wiener Dog race, which brought in 35,000 people last year. The restaurant said after the weekend, it was a weekend like a football weekend when it's packed. They haven't had a lot of this in the last year. But when you get the way that it was told to me by the restaurateurs, it was like 65,000 people were there for a football game.
Phew.
That's what Alden Thornhill has done in Starkville with the Wiener Dog race. Now, I was there. I didn't do a whole lot, okay? But we were on the second floor balcony of Two Brothers, and there were so many people there in the Cotton District that you couldn't move. It's an amazing thing. And I told y'all, I walked around 2 hours before it started and met people from New York, Canada, Portland, Oregon, out on the West Coast. And because Wiener Dogs are a thing, and people get into it. And they had like 24 races, and it was crazy. And the green space or field is like, it's on the street.
Yeah.
And they have 2 VIP areas, and all these vendors are there. They figured it out, Mississippi's College Town and tourism and Alden, and it's just a huge deal. All the hotels are packed, the restaurants are packed. Two Brothers, Commodore Bob's Restaurant, Tyler. Now the landing is there. Landing holds like 500 plus people. The second floor of the open area, the landing is overlooking the street of the Wiener Dog race. But I wouldn't even call this color analyst. I just sipped on Two Brothers, Tito's Bloody Marys, and Bart Heitch and I, Bart, who was on the 96 Final Four team and who was my roommate for a while in college, called it. And I'm going to do a little bit of it this year, but it is wild. And I mean, they had the whole production. I mean, I've been on some cool sets, and this is a cool set, but it was almost like you were doing an ESPN game, the way that Bart had the whole, now Hail State Productions is going to do it this year, which, they know they're tied in with the SEC network, but Bart brought in his people last year. It was unreal. I mean, they had more mixers and producers, things and this and that. We had a super time, and that's coming up. They've got several other, big spring events in Starkville. And, of course, if Jake Mangum, that's where he he lives in Starkville 90% of the time when he comes in town. And he did come here for us last October and did a Q&A speech with us, which was a ton of fun with him and Tanner Allen. I'm going to have to reset tomorrow on this Jake Mangum hat, and we'll give it away.
Yeah.
This signed Jake Mangum hat, and then we'll get some other things from him over the next, couple months to give to the little people that, can you imagine being a 10-year-old right now and you love baseball?
No way.
Or a 10-year-old and you love softball, and you were able to see everything that Jake Mangum did last night. And, if your parent or coach tells you about his drive, will, grit, and all the things that do matter, and his perseverance, and the fact that he could have hung it up and he just refused. Just hell no, I'm not giving in. I'm not giving up. And you could tell, did you hear him in his voice? How he had already had those amenities during spring training, but he's now played in Major League Baseball games with an S. And they all talk about, I remember Jay Powell talking about it, and Hunter Renfroe, and we've had Brent Rooker on, just the way you're treated, all the amenities, the access, the food, pregame, postgame, anything you want. And he's about to jump on a jet. Now, he's done that being an SEC baseball player. Right. But when you're minor leagues, you're riding the buses. When they go to, Jackson mentioned they're going to Arlington. Yeah. It's going to be a jet. It's going to take an hour and 20 minutes.
Right.
Tampa to, Dallas-Fort Worth. And a lot of you have been to Steinbrenner Field. I've been, not with the game, but went the Outback Bowl and stuff like that. I've been to two of those, right? One with Moorhead and one when Leach died. And Steinbrenner Stadium, field, whatever, is right across the street from Tampa Bay, but from Raymond James.
That's it.
With the pirate ship and yeah. My son Wilkes grew up a Tampa Bay Buccaneer pre-Brady, so he gets to claim the Super Bowl. Right. And when we took him to the Outback Bowl and he got to see the pirate ship in the stadium, he thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So, thanks for listening today. Lunch today brought to you by Martin's in Livingston. And smash that oyster po' boy or that blue plate at Martin's in Livingston. Hey, lunch today in Starkville brought to you by Older Brother Bistro. The Reuben is insane. The Lox Bagel is ridiculous. Wilkes and Ella Hall and I, last week when I went up there, we got the crab claws as an appetizer. They were perfection. And the muffaletta is amazing. All at Older Brother Bistro in Starkville, Mississippi. And don't forget about the new steakhouse, Big E's. Eric Hallberg, my man. Go try Big E's during baseball season. If you missed anything, go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and you can get that Jake Mangum interview. Search Out of Bounds with Bo Bounds. See ya.